Hey, it's Aaron, and today I'm going to have just a really short video about something that has been really kind of driving me nuts lately, and I just want to talk about it really briefly, just to get it out of the way. So, for the last few videos that I've been doing, I've been really emphasizing getting out and getting active and getting into the streets and actually doing whatever you possibly can to make change in your community. That means involving yourself in any kind of protests, sit-ins, walkouts, lock-ons, that sort of thing that you possibly can, so we can actually have a show of force and actually have physical bodies in the streets actually doing things. And a common trend that I've noticed throughout the last few videos that I've done is that a lot of commenters, well, not a lot, but a few commenters have continuously said the same sort of thing, where they don't want to get involved in whatever protest or action that I'm talking about because it's either too liberal or isn't violent enough or isn't as hardline communist or anarchist as they would like. And as far as I'm concerned, that's kind of a bad reason not to get involved or not to get invested in any sort of action in your community. The truth is that unless you personally are out there making those sorts of actions happen yourself, you have to be joining in on actions that are already happening, because those are the ones that are going to be getting mainstream attention. Large numbers, large groups of people are going to be showing up to those sorts of rallies. And if you are able to put on your own actions, fantastic. Absolutely, do that as much as you possibly can. But being able to get invested and get involved in ones that are already happening is so important, because you can use it as a jump off point for so many other things. The idea that I constantly hear is that, oh, we don't want to get involved because these groups are too liberal. That's not a good reason. We were, well, at least a lot of us were liberals even just a few years ago, and it wasn't until we actually heard like real solutions before we changed our minds about things. It wasn't until we actually understood the way that the economy works or the way that the system actually functions before we were like, hey, hold on, a simple solution to this, technocratic solution to this isn't going to solve any sort of problem. So that's why we found usually Marx or Bakunin or someone like that, and we've decided that those are the ideas that make a lot more sense rather than the ones that we're currently living under. But without knowing those things, we never would have gotten to those conclusions. So the obvious thing that we have to do, comrades, is spread class consciousness. That's the most important thing that we have to do right now. That is our job at this point, is to go to as many rallies as we possibly can, to go to as many sit-ins, walkouts, protests of all kinds, and actually be there to spread that class consciousness. Because if you're not out there talking to people, if you're not actually out there talking to your family, talking to your friends, talking to your neighbors, talking to your coworkers, talking to anybody that happens to be involved in a protest, then they're not going to get that message. And who better to preach to than a bunch of people that are already angry, that are already out in the streets, and that are already ready to take action. Those are the people that are already easy enough to convince as it is. So we should be out there trying to do that and not disparaging their group because we think that it might be too corporate or might have a few too many sponsors. Okay, maybe they do. But we can't allow the liberals and the corporatists and all of these people to have control over that narrative and just not give any thought to it ourselves. If we're not out there actually speaking to people, actually making a difference, actually talking to one another, and actually making change, then that change will never come. We can't sit there hoping and praying that people are going to, I don't know, take up some sort of militant resistance. We can't just assume that that's going to happen without any kind of coaxing or without any kind of class consciousness being actually created. We have to make those moves ourselves. We have to actually bring people to the point of where they want to get invested in that sort of movement. And without getting involved in the movements that are happening today, we're never going to have that chance. So a lot of people that I was talking to in the comment section from the last couple of videos said that one of the main things that they were doing when they were going to these activist groups, when they're going to these protests and so forth, is they were actually using them as a recruiting tactic. So they would go down there and they would talk to regular liberals or regular centrists, and they would say, hey, you know what? We have a bit of a solution. And they'd talk to them, and then they get them to sign up to join one of their groups. DSA, communist groups, anti-fascist groups, that sort of thing. It's a fantastic way to get people invested. It's a fantastic way to get people involved. And we should all be paying attention to those sorts of things, and we should actually be trying to use these already created movements to our advantage. It's something that I've constantly said over and over and over again, is that when we get into any sort of situation where there are people protesting or people that are angry, we need to grab a hold of that megaphone and give a proper message. Give actually people real solutions to their problems that are within a socialist framework. That's what we need to be doing, and I've been preaching that forever now. So if you do get a chance, please get out there, get active, get involved in any sort of protest, sit-in, walkout, I don't care what it is. Get involved in those sorts of things, union organizing, everything. And use it as a jump-off point to be able to talk to these people and get them on the same idea train as the rest of us. Get them into the same position where they actually think that, you know, maybe a more Marxist solution or maybe a more anarchist solution to this problem could actually work. Without us being out there and talking to these people, we're never going to see any kind of real change, and that's our job. That's what we have to be doing. Anyway, that's the way I look at it. My name is Aaron. If you do get a chance, please check me out on Patreon. Every dollar does help fund this show. And thanks for watching.